Tonight, we will leave the present behind, gently, without hurry. We will step into a city that breathes in marble and earth, in bread and smoke, in water and stone, the city of Rome. We will not chase empires or triumphs. We will not search for battles or thunder. Instead, we will follow one quiet day as it unfolds. We will listen to small sounds and familiar routines. We will watch light move along walls and across faces. We will travel by stillness, and we will return by night. Let us begin softly with dawn.
Morning comes to Rome like a slow tide. Light drifts over rooftops the color of baked clay. Mist lingers above the Tiber as if the river is exhaling. Somewhere a rooster answers the pale sky. Somewhere a door opens and wood sighs. Somewhere the first hearth is stirred and thin smoke finds the air. You lie awake on a rope-laced bed in a small room inside an insula, a modest apartment building. The plaster wall beside you is cool. It holds the night and gives it back to your fingertips. A wool blanket rests against your legs. A clay lamp, wick cut short, sits dark on a low table. Your sandals wait where you left them, facing the door as if they too are ready to walk. Beneath your room, the bakery stirs. A paddle slides, flour sighs, a hollow thump answers the bench. The baker speaks softly to his helper, the way people do in early hours. There is no rush, no crowd, only tasks arranged like small stones in a path. You sit up slowly. You feel the weight of morning in your shoulders, but it is a gentle weight. You tie your belt. You touch the window shutter and ease it open. Light spreads across your floor in a pale rectangle, and dust becomes a small constellation. Outside, a cart rolls past. Wooden wheels find the same joins in the same stones, and the city recognizes the rhythm. In the distance, a dog gives one brief bark, a single note, then silence. The air is cool, and you draw it in. It tastes faintly of damp stone, lamp smoke, and bread that is not yet baked, but soon will be.
The threshold is worn smooth where hundreds of steps have passed. You place your foot there, as others have, and you enter the morning. Streets in the quarter are narrow and careful. Walls rise like steady cliffs, carrying small windows and small lives. A woman opens a shutter and drapes linen over the sill. The cloth moves as the air moves. It surrenders and it returns. A boy carries a basket balanced on his hip, olives under leaves, dark and ready. He glances at you, and then he looks away, with the soft indifference of a child going about his task. The stones underfoot are old, older than the memory of your street. They hold water from the night, and in the low places the city sky gathers itself again. Between stones, grass attempts its quiet rebellion, but it is not a loud struggle. It is green in the cracks. It is small and patient. You pass a painted wall. Red letters, fading, announce a cellar of wine from a region with a name that makes you think of distant hills. Black letters promise a gladiatorial match on a day that is not today. A handprint, once a playful dare, has become part of the wall. It will remain when the boy who left it is grown. A water carrier moves steadily along, shoulder under strap, jar against back. He walks as water walks, quietly, persistently, with a weight that will be put down and then lifted again. You continued toward the forum, not to argue a case, not to hear a decree, but because the forum is where the city gathers its breath. It is where voices find each other. It is where the day becomes itself.
The market opens not with a trumpet, but with simple attention. A board is lifted, a cloth is folded back, a knife is wiped and held ready. Coins wake and touch each other like small bells. Figs, their skins soft and full, wait in woven baskets. Cheese rests in rounds, chalky and calm. Fish keep their silver in the shade, eyes clear and unhurried. Bread from yesterday sits beside a new promise, and the promise grows warm by the moment. Merchants speak in gentle repetitions, not shouts, not songs, but a practiced tone that folds into the morning. Figs, one says, and then again, figs. Good oil, says another, and the word good is almost a hum. A potter turns a wheel with his foot. Clay becomes a wall under his hands, rising, steady, obedient to touch. He thickens a rim with the lightest pressure. He spares a glance for the path of your eyes, and then he returns to the new vessel. It will dry, it will be fired, it will learn how to hold water. Two old men share watered wine from a small jug. They do not raise their voices because there is no need. Their conversation is a circle that knows its own route, and it takes that route again, step by step. A child is given a coin to hold. It is heavy in a small palm. The child will remember how it felt, the chill of metal, the mark of a face he cannot name, the adult patience that allowed him to pay. You buy bread. The crust is warm. When you turn it, your thumbs leave faint prints in flour. You thank the baker softly, because soft thanks are enough.
Near the market, a fountain receives its constant gift. Water falls from a stone face, clear and simple. It does not hurry. It keeps its own time. A girl fills a pitcher slowly, looking at the surface as it rises. When it nears the lip, she tilts the jar to change the sound. She has learned this from her mother. She will teach it to her daughter. It is the kind of knowledge that is half practical and half music. You bend and wash your hands. The water is cold enough to tell you it is morning. It leaves a clean memory on your skin. Above you, far beyond your sight, the aqueduct carries this water from a place where stones remember an earlier river. It comes over arches that stand as if standing is a kind of thinking. It comes through channels taught to be patient, taught to arrive without fuss, taught to serve. You drink. The city drinks. And no one argues with the lesson the water teaches. You arrive, you remain, you move on.
You take the street where work speaks softly of itself. A blacksmith lifts a bar with tongs and returns it to the mouth of his small fire. The coal answers with a breath you can almost see. When the metal yields, he reaches for a hammer. He does not strike loudly. He calls the shape to him in many quiet notes. A carpenter runs a plane along the edge of a board. The curls of wood have a sweetness that belongs to trees and tools and hands. He holds the board to his thigh and continues, pushing small weather away from the edge, making a straight line where there was a wavering one. A weaver sits with her shuttle. Thread leaves her fingers, crosses the row, and returns. The fabric is not yet cloth, but it is nearly there, and its neat patience pleases the room. A scribe's shop is open too. Wax tablets stacked, styluses lined like reeds. He leans over a page, head bent, copying a passage that someone has asked for, a passage that has traveled further than his feet ever will. Work here is a calendar without numbers. It is measured in tasks rather than days. It is measured in finished surfaces, cooling iron, aligned fibers, complete lines. It does not need an audience to be real. It needs hands, tools, and time.
Mid-morning slides toward rest. The air inches from cool to mild, and then a little warmer. You turn toward the public baths, because the baths are not only for washing, they are for being with others without needing to speak too much. The entrance is wide, without boasting. You meet the attendant's eye. He nods because he knows how many nods a day needs. You undress without drama. You leave your sandals where sandals belong. You don't worry about your bundle. You let care go the way steam goes, up, away. The first room is warm, as if the walls breathe. Moist air leans against your skin, friendly and complete. You sit and say nothing, because silence here is not a demand, it is a gift you can accept. You move to the hot room. Heat comes from below, carried through empty spaces beneath the floor, and it rises like a slow confession. You sit again. The body remembers it is water too. It remembers the sea before it knew a name for it. Sweat gathers, becoming small beads, becoming more, becoming a pattern. Your breath is steady. Your thoughts soften their sharp corners. No one needs you in this minute. You are allowed to be only one thing, a person in heat, sitting still. You pass to the cold pool. You step in with care. The water folds around your legs, then your waist, then your chest. It takes your heat and gives back a clear mind. You exhale. If there is a sound, it is quiet. When you emerge, you feel lighter by some weight that cannot be measured. You dress. You tie your belt. You nod again to the attendant. You return to the day. Hunger arrives without knocking too loudly. You answer with what the city offers and what the season allows. A small stall has chickpea stew that has been patient on the fire all morning. The surface carries a quiet sheen. When the seller lifts the ladle, the stew folds over itself and keeps its stories. You break your bread and use it as a bridge. Salt, oil, and the tender part of the chickpea meet and agree with one another. You eat slowly. You listen to the ordinary conversation around you, the kind that has no destination but still arrives. Two men discuss the price of grain, but they do not hurry the topic. A woman tells a girl how to judge a melon by the scent near its stem. A boy repeats a joke he has misunderstood, and the table forgives him with laughter that is kind. You drink watered wine. It is not strong, it is sensible. It sits in your stomach like a small lamp that does not flare. When you finish, you thank the seller, who shrugs and smiles as if to say, "You are part of the day, and the day is part of you."
After eating, the city softens. Shadows shorten, then they pause, as if the sun is listening. Doors are half closed. Voices are half voices. You return to your room to let your spine rest. The bed welcomes the weight it knows. The blanket is not needed, but it is there. You close your eyes without defending them. You do not sleep at once. You float in the place near sleep. In the courtyard, a dove steps, tilts its head, steps again. Its coo grows and fades, grows and fades, a small bellows of sound. A breeze finds your face and decides to stay a while. Somewhere, a pot lid lifts and falls. The sound is domestic, forgiving. In this hour, nothing urgent happens. In this hour, the city breathes for you. In this hour, you remember that time can be gentle. When you rise, you do it slowly. You wash your face with water that has been waiting in a bowl. You smooth your hair with your palms. You look at the room that has held your rest, and you thank it without words.
On your way back out, you pass a corner where children play. They chase a ring made of bent reed. They gibe it with sticks, laughing when it wobbles and laughing again when it obeys. A girl tosses small bones and catches them in a practiced dance of fingers. She teaches a younger boy how to begin, how to lose, how to begin again. They discuss rules that are the same every day and also always new. Inside a doorway, a boy leans over a wax tablet. He scratches letters with a stylus. His father explains the shape of a word without raising his voice. This is the family's school today. Tomorrow it may be in another room with another teacher, but the letters will remain the same. They are little stones in a river of speech. Learning here is not a parade. It is a small thing repeated until it becomes part of the hand, part of the eye, part of the voice. It is how the city keeps speaking when the day is tired. You move on and carry the soft sound of children with you. It follows your steps for a while, and then it stays where children stay, near games, near dust, near the place where a mother calls and is obeyed.
You take the street that faces a temple. Columns rise with a measured certainty, grooves climbing as if they were the memory of rain. Steps are worn in the center where feet have agreed over years to make a path together. You climb without counting. At the top, the air seems a little wider. A priest moves with quiet economy, tending a brazier, arranging offerings as if each object has its own resting place they all remember. People arrive and leave. Some speak aloud, some speak inwardly and let their faces answer for their mouths. You watch a woman touch the base of a column with the back of her hand as if testing for a fever in stone. She nods once to herself and goes. You do not ask for anything specific. You stand and allow your breath to match the vertical lines around you. You offer nothing but your attention, and your attention is accepted. When you step down again, the street meets you without surprise. The temple has kept its heart steady, and the city has kept moving around it like water around a ship's hull.
In the afternoon, the city remembers its tasks. The tailor smooths a tunic over his knee and weighs a stitch in the balance of his eye. A cobbler warms a bit of wax between his fingers and draws it along a thread like a blessing. A woman sorts lentils on a flat tray, flicking the stones away with the tip of a fingernail. There is comfort in repetition that belongs to useful things. A broom learns the shape of the room. A bucket learns the lift of a hand. A knife learns the thickness of an onion. You help where help is wanted, and you do not where it is not. You pass a brush to someone who needs it. You hold a board steady for someone who measures. You move a stool so someone can reach a high shelf without rushing their balance. In such hours, the sun performs its slow trick. It moves without appearing to move. Shadows lean, adjust, lean again. The color of plaster warms. The color of faces warms. Your arms carry the day and are not troubled by the weight.
Later, you turn your steps toward the Tiber. The path meets the water with the frankness of stone to stone. Boats sit low in the current, ropes slack and then taut again as the river decides who is holding whom. A man mends a net with small motions. He does not look often at his hands because his hands remember. He thinks in knots. He thinks in spaces between knots. Fish move in water. He moves in string. A dog sleeps in an ellipse of sun on the quay. Its ear twitches when a fly suggests a change. The dog disagrees by sleeping more deeply. A woman stands and watches the water because sometimes water is not to be used. Sometimes it is to be regarded like a long sentence that says a simple thing. I go on. I go on. You sit and say nothing to the river. The river says nothing to you. You agree that saying nothing together can be a kind of conversation.
Late afternoon has its own walk. Footsteps slow, not from weariness, but from understanding that the day is ready to be looked at. You pass a vendor who sells small cups of honeyed milk. A line of bees are interested, but not insistent. The vendor and the bees have a truce written in the air. In a courtyard, a fig tree gives shade that smells like dust and sugar. Someone prunes a branch, leaving a milky tear at the cut. Someone sweeps. Someone sings without words. On a balcony above, herbs dry on strings. Their shadows write thin letters against the wall. If you could read the shadows, they would tell you the names of flavors and the weeks of the season. A mason packs wet mortar into a joint, thumb smoothing again. He wipes his thumb on a rag that knew this would happen. He steps back the way a painter steps back, giving the wall the courtesy of distance.
You return to your room before night and find it as you left it, which is a kind of kindness. The bed waits without complaint. The lamp waits without smoke. The small jar of oil is as much as it was. You wash your face again. You rinse your hands. You comb your hair with 3 slow passes and then stop. Not because 3 is a special number, but because it is enough. You sit for a moment and allow the day to arrive in your mind's doorway, the way a visitor arrives and stands, not sure whether to enter. You invite it, and it comes. It sets down a few images: a fig in a child's palm, a curl of wood on a floor, steam rising from a pool, a priest moving a bowl half an inch to the left. Then The day smiles and says, "I will wait outside now."
You are hungry again, but only gently. You gather what you have: bread, olives, a dish of beans with garlic, a wedge of cheese. You add a little oil. It is small sun in a bowl. You pour watered wine. You eat with unhurried intention. Chew and breathe. Chew and breathe. When you reach for salt, you do it as if to greet a friend by name. When you drink, you hold the cup with both hands just once, to feel its weight, to let it anchor you to the table, to the room, to the city. Somewhere in the building, someone laughs once, and then again, and then not again. Somewhere outside, a flute tries 3 notes and is satisfied with 2. In the alley, a jar is set down a bit too firmly and wobbles until it finds its center. Everything finds its center if given the chance.
When evening becomes itself, lamps light windows one by one. It is not a competition, it is a patient constellation. You trim the wick with a fingernail and coax a small flame to live. The flame lifts and considers the room and then agrees to stay. It does not demand, it accompanies. Light makes the clay glow in a more honest way than day does. Edges admit they are edges. Corners become the kind of dark that protects rather than conceals. You place the lamp where it will do the most good and the least boasting, near the table beside your notes, against the thought that may visit you and ask for a little light to be fully itself. Outside, the last geese fly low over the river, their conversation a thread sewing sky to water. The street settles, doors choose their futures, shutters choose their angles.
The city does not fall silent. It becomes a different instrument. You hear a seller of late bread offering what remains at a price for evening. You hear a cart on softer wheels making a softer bargain with the stones. You hear 2 friends decide that tomorrow will answer a question that today did not need to answer. In the distance, a tavern holds a few regulars who are not yet done with the ordinary business of being human. The voices swell, then soften like tide against a gentle shore. A song begins that has no chorus and no end. It is made of lines that fit together because they are sung by people who know each other's ears. A guard walks by in sandals that announce him without startling anyone. He looks in all directions because that is what he promised to do, and the city believes him. A cat steps along a wall like a priest in a narrow sanctuary. It knows 1,000 routes, none of which are urgent.
Before sleep, you let the day write itself in you, not as a list to be checked, not as an account to be balanced, but as a soft ledger of textures and breaths. You remember the market's coins and the way they spoke to each other. You remember the bath's heat and the way it taught you to loosen your grip. You remember the temple's columns and the way they carried the sky as if it had always been theirs to carry. You remember the river's agreement with silence. You remember bread. You remember hands. You remember water and how it met your skin with an honesty that needed no witness. You do not need to decide what mattered more. You do not need to arrange anything for later. The day has already arranged itself by becoming past. You snuff the lamp with 2 fingers, brought together as if in a blessing. A thread of smoke ascends and writes a brief letter that no one will read. The room receives darkness without complaint. Your bed accepts you the way a shoreline accepts the returning tide. The rope beneath the mattress holds its taut promise. The blanket remembers your knees and waits for them to be warm again. You close your eyes. Behind them, the city remains, but smaller and further away, and kind. It is a neighbor who goes home when you are tired. It is a friend who knows how to leave. Your breath is a gate that opens and opens again. Your chest is a slow harbor. You arrive. You remain. You move on.
Rome sleeps in chapters. Some streets are done for the day, some are between lines. Some keep reading by lamplight. The aqueduct keeps its vow. Water moves over arches as constant as thought. Fountains will be ready in the morning. The girl will tilt the jar. The sound will change. The baker wakes before others. He will stir flour and water until it becomes a patient creature. He will lift a paddle and speak softly. He will open his door, and the day will enter, and you will smell what is about to be. The city's heart is a room with many doors. It does not lock them all at once. It closes one, then another, until the right ones remain open.